Hello everybody, welcome to TìandTarot, or welcome back to TìandTarot if you've been here before. So firstly, before I begin, apologies for the background. I took all my photos down, I need to put them back up, so you've just got a blue tacky wall to look at, so enjoy. But today's video is going to be a tarot app review. So for the past few weeks I've been testing out a few different tarot apps so that I could see which ones I think are the best. And then I'm going to tell you guys which ones they are. So I'm going to be reviewing some of the most common or mainstream tarot apps, but of course there are loads more out there. But for now I've just picked out a few. One is not really an app though, but I just wanted to try that one. And I'm going to tell you what I thought. And when I let you know which one I think is best, you should download that one because I'm always right and I'm never wrong, so you have to download it. The purpose of the video is essentially to see if you can kind of get what you get from your own sort of personal tarot readings, whether you do them for yourself or whether you get tarot readings done by a professional. We're going to try and test and see if the tarot apps kind of compare and hold up against that and how good they are. And also we'll be checking things like convenience, affordability, that sort of thing, and checking those markers. Also how accurate it will be. There's a few determining factors that I've kind of set as to whether or not the apps are going to be of any value, and this is dependent on 5 things. So starting off with accuracy, how accurate are these tarot apps in predicting my current, present, or my future. The second thing was synchronicities between the apps. My kind of thought process here is that if the apps can do what they say they can do, then surely there will start to be crossovers and synchronicities as I use the apps at the same time, because my day isn't changing, so the predictions should be the same. Although technically you can have multiple predictions for a day, so it's a loosey-goosey rule, but it's one I'm testing anyways. Then we're going to be checking affordability. So all of these apps that I'm reviewing today are free, but there is, paid for versions of the app where you can have, like premium, ultimate, unlimited access to the apps. So we're also going to be reviewing that, but I'll be reviewing it from right over here because I ain't paying for nothing. I can tell you, what they're kind of offering, but I'm not going to be testing out the paid ones. The fourth thing I'll be checking is convenience. How convenient is it to get this app up and check it and use it right before, let's say, I'm going to be doing something? How good is it at just quickly giving me what I need? How convenient is it compared to me taking out my own tarot decks and spending a lot of time, pulling different cards and putting them away again? What's the difference there? And the last thing I'll be checking for is the variety of options of what you get. Do you get a lot of tarot card offers? Like, do you get a lot of different decks to choose from? Do you get a lot of additional features like lessons on tarot reading, rune readings, oracle readings? So we're also going to be looking at that with these apps as well. Okay, so the apps I'm going to be reviewing today are Labyrinthos. I think I've said that right. I will be referring to it as Lab the whole way through this because it's easier for me. But Labyrinthos for the first one, or Labyrinthios could be. The Tarot Deck Rider, Galaxy Tarot, Uni Tarot, and I Fate. For the sake of this video, I will be referring to them just by whatever first word comes up in that app. So for example, the Tarot Deck Rider, I'm just going to call it the Rider. So to start off with, I used each app for 1 week across different weeks to test and see if they could accurately predict my future or accurately reflect my present. So week 1, starting off with Labyrinthios. So my first impressions for Labyrinthios were that it's really well designed. It's been really well thought out, and I think the experience is quite fun as well, because the first time you're sort of setting up the app, you'll have like a little avatar that will guide you through, asking you different questions, like why do you want to use the app? Do you want to learn tarot, or do you just want tarot readings? Like, what's the vibe? And it tries to essentially get to know you so that it can tailor your experience a little bit more, which I think is really going above and beyond for the tarot app, and I think that's a really cool, unique feature across all the apps. It also gives you the option to upload images of your own personal deck. So let's say if you're like trying to get to know like the Harmony tarot deck and you want to get familiar with the pictures, when you see like the 8 of Wands, you want to see what the 8 of Wands looks like in the Harmony tarot decks, so that you get used to it. It gives you the option to upload those pictures yourself. That is quite like a lengthy process, and for me personally, because I do know how to read tarot, I didn't feel like this was a necessary step for me, so I skipped this step. But if that's something you were looking for to help you get familiar with a particular deck that you have, then that's one of the options that Labyrinthios provides. And conveniently, you know, they've got their shop on the app as well, so you can buy the decks directly from them. Once you've answered all the questions and, you know, picked your deck, you'll then be taken to your homepage where you'll be presented with the option to do like your card of the day reading. And this is 3 tarot cards, 2 oracle cards and 1 rune. This was really thorough and I really liked this, and I liked the quantity of cards as well, because usually if you do a card of the day, it's literally a card of the day, it's 1 card, whereas with this app you've got multiple, you're comparing it and cross-referencing it with like the oracle and then the rune, so it was really fun to use those. I think in that sense Labyrinthios has probably the most diverse range of options, especially when it comes to this type of reading, like a daily tarot card reading. It had a lot of diversity, a lot of options, a lot of opportunity to pick different things, so I really liked it for that reason. Also, when you do click on these cards, you're given initially like kind of just a mantra or a quote, just a saying to give you a vibe of the card. Let's say it's the Magician, it will say something like, you know, I am creative and masterful. So it might say something like that, and then you've got the gist of the card. So that way, if you don't have time to kind of go into the full card definition, if you don't have the energy to interpret it yourself because you've been doing readings all day, then it's just this really nice quick thing that you can kind of look at, get, and then consider. But you can click on the card and go into further detail by seeing the definition of the cards. And it does this cool thing where once it saves so every reading you do gets saved to a digital journal on the app. And if you actually go back and click on your oracle cards out of the journal, it does this really cool thing where it actually tries to give you a combined interpretation based on the 2 cards you get. So usually you get definitions of each card individually, and then you have to try and link those together yourself. Whereas it linked it for you and gave you a definition. So for example, I think the other day I got an oracle card that represented man, and then I got an oracle card that represented child. And so it put these 2 together, and it was like immature man. It was like a young man, or a new man kind of thing. And it was trying to come up with different ways that you could interpret these 2 cards together. I wish they would do it with the tarot cards too, and then maybe do a group one where it's like you compare the tarot cards with the oracle with the rune all in one, and it gives you a full definition. They do actually have like an AI option where like the AI can do this for you and interpret it for you, but I'm just like not a fan of using AI, so I just avoided it. But there is that option. If I keep looking down here, it's because my notes are here. Okay, but I will look back at the screen. Anyways, one of the things that I do love about this app is that it has a journal, and it automatically saves all your readings onto that journal straight away, which I love, because for me, something, especially when it comes to how convenient are these apps compared to real life, is that for me, when I do myself a personal tarot reading, usually I get out like a bloody 100 cards, because like the more cards the better. And it's very time consuming. I then have to put away all those cards, but also I then have to go and write in my journal, like, well, I don't have to, but I want to, but I go and write in my journal, you know, what the tarot reading was, what it was about, what answers I got, and that takes really long. Like sometimes it's taken like 2 hours later, I'm still writing, and I have to put the book away and come back to it the next 2 days. So sometimes it just takes a really long time, so it's really nice to just have it straight away on this journal, and then when you do have time you can come back and write those in your own physical journal if you want to, which I would recommend, just because one of my big pet peeves about this app is that it will start to delete journals at your request once you hit a certain limit, because they have a limit of space in terms of your journal on the free version. So you're like, what happened to me was like I was using it and then it was like, hey, you know, you've run out of space, do you want to delete one of the one of the journals. And the one I thought I was deleting was like the very first one I ever got. What it actually deleted was like 2 days prior, and I don't know why it did that. And it only did that twice, but it was really frustrating because it's like I needed those and I wanted those ones for this video. So it deleted the evidence of like a really good one that I got, and to this day I actually don't even remember what it was, but it was really good. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait till I tell everybody about this, and it's gone. So that's something I don't like about it. So even though the journal was good, it's definitely temporary. So start like putting it in your own physical journal eventually, like when you have time. You can also create a personalized spread on this app, so you can create your own sort of thing. I got excited for a minute there because I thought I could arrange the way the spread looked, because there's this spread that I want to do. It's called like the Black Cat spread, but I've always wanted to do it for you guys in my videos, but at the minute with my current setup I don't have enough space to like do it on what I'm working with and have it all be in frame on camera. So I've been holding off doing it, but it's something I want to do and experience for myself. So I thought I could like make a little digital one in the shape of like the cat that I was going for. But you can't do that. You can definitely pick your own spreads, in terms of you can pick like 1 to maybe 12 cards, I think it was, something like that. And then you can say what, like have a question for that spread. So the spread could be like monthly prediction for the year, and you could have 12 cards and each card represents like Jan, Feb, March, April, you know. So you could make up your own thing like that, but you can't like really move things around. So, you know, it's half good, half needs improvement in my personal opinion. And the last thing that you can do on this app, well there's actually 2 things, but one of the last things you can do is make your own profile, of course. You know, your own avatar, your own name. Like you can change the color of the background of your app so you can vibe with it more. Like you get to do all those sorts of things. And also it gives you the opportunity to do like lessons and test your tarot knowledge. I have personal gripes with it because it is multiple choice, and so to some degree if you don't know a card you can just narrow it down based on what little you do know. So if it was like 1 coin card and 2 wand cards and the question was which of these represents financial struggle or whatever, you're gonna know it's the coin one because it's obviously not gonna be the wands. So in that sense it allows for a little bit of cheating, which I did partake in myself. But also definitely with the multiple choice it can get things wrong, in the sense that like cards can mean multiple different things and each card can also be interpreted uniquely. And for one card it kept showing cards where out of all of the multiple choice 2 or even 3 of those could apply to that card, but only 1 is right. And so that is a little bit iffy because sometimes you're right but the app is saying you're wrong but you're right because 3 of those options are correct. And so in that sense, if you're like a new tarot reader who doesn't know like you're right, you're gonna think, oh, like I must be interpreting these wrong, and it's like, no, you've got it right. There's just me being bitter about being told I was wrong. But that's also one of my pet peeves with the app as well. Another one of my kind of pet peeves is that I do feel like I get constantly bombarded with ads or just like promo in terms of like download the app, like, or like here's the paid version, do you know you could get the paid version? I know. And listen, I respect the grind, I respect it, you gotta do what you gotta do, but leave me alone. Like I'm here, I'm using it, okay, I'm on the app. Like, so accuracy of Labyrinthios. So I used it for a week. I am Frankensteining a week together because I actually used it like once a week. Like, so 5 days, okay? I think I've actually put 6 days here because I just had to tell you about one of these other days. But here were my results, okay? So day 1, I'm gonna give you a little bit of context. On day 1, let me put my laptop here so I can look straight down. On day 1, I was actually preparing for an interview at literally my dream job, dream company. If you can have a dream job, but I do. I've always had one in mind since I was like 11. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got an interview for it. Like, I just couldn't believe my luck, because I wasn't actually looking for a job. It was by complete chance, because I think I was trying to help somebody else look for jobs, and this job came up and they were like, hey, this is your, like, your thing, and I was like, I don't know, and then I applied to it and I got an interview and I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. So I was preparing for this interview, but I actually felt really guilty because my current job at the time that I had, because I had a job while this was going on, and I actually felt really guilty because it's not a bad job. Like, I mean, yes, they underpaid me. Yes, you know, it was boring, but like it was good in the sense it was steady, you know, it's work from home, like very chill, very mellow. I know the routine, I've been doing it for 2 years, I know what I'm doing, I go in, I do my job, I leave, like, you know. So it was good in that sense, and you know, it good vibes, you know, whatever. Well, not good vibes, but just mediocre vibes. There was no one's yelling, no one's screaming, no one's crying, like, so I felt a little bit guilty, and I was kind of feeling like, you know, should I kind of say no, like, sorry for applying kind of thing, should I pull out, because I felt quite guilty when it came to the other job. Under no circumstances was I ever going to pull out, but that's how I was feeling. That I was feeling like, should I do this? Also, there is a spider in my room, and it's gigantic, and it's right here, and I'm struggling. So I'm gonna keep talking, but I am struggling. So basically, to try and make myself feel a bit better, I always kind of go and ask the tarot cards, you know, what's up here? Why do I feel this way? Should I feel this way? Kind of thing. And even if it gives me an answer I don't like, I just like use it in a way where I'm like, yes, love that, thanks for the advice. It just helps with like introspection, doesn't it? A little bit of self-reflection, a little bit of like emotional development. So I kind of went on to Labyrinthios and asked if it could give me any words of wisdom when it came to this interview and my current situation, how I was feeling, you know, give me insight, that sort of thing. And I clicked on like the daily card reading when I asked this question. So I got 3 tarot, 2 oracle, 1 rune. So I got the Ace of Discs, which is all about seizing opportunities that come your way. I felt like that was really spookily accurate because it's telling me, like, this is an opportunity, take it. Like, stop having those wobbly feelings, do it. Because I felt like I was almost self-sabotaging in a way where, like, I'm like, oh, well, I've got this on, and, you know, I've got a job already, and blah, 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 blah. I was almost self-sabotaging a little bit, and I feel like this card with the Ace of Discs was like, stop doing that. And then I got the 8 of Chalices, which is all about letting go of, you know, what no longer serves me and feeling dissatisfied about something. And I feel like that was summing up my current situation, no offense to the first shop, but I was feeling dissatisfied in the sense that I wasn't doing what made me feel fulfilled or feel good. You know, anytime anyone asked me what I did as well, I'd tell them and they'd be like, that's boring. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I was just feeling like dissatisfied in that role. And, you know, this card with the 8 of Chalices, it's telling me like it doesn't serve you anymore. It was good for when you needed it, it supported you then, but it's not what's working for you now, so like find something new. And then I got the 7 of Swords, which is about choosing an ethical path of principle, and it also talks about themes of like self-doubt, having low self-esteem, and like feeling helpless as well. So it's basically, the way I interpreted that was that it's letting me know like I'm not doing anything unethical. This is actually very normal and actually like professional. This is something very normal that does happen. And this was, I was looking up like, how do you tell your job that you're going like, to somewhere else? And on YouTube there was like someone who was like telling people advice about this. And they were like, you know, it's actually really professional, there's nothing wrong with it. So your boss shouldn't take it personally. They'll probably be like, oh, okay, cool. So I saw this not only as like a, hey, you're doing nothing wrong, but also a like push to see myself as capable of getting the things that I want and making my goals come true and my dreams come true. Like, I'm capable of getting the things that I want. And I saw it as a little bit of an ego boost, like a self-esteem boost, because I was feeling wobbly, you know, and it just really empowered me for that interview. So went in there, smashed it, you know. So in that sense, I definitely received what I was looking for from the tarot cards, and it did really accurately reflect my situation. And then with the oracle cards, I got the Sun and the Fox, which is about success, but it's also about being crafty to get what you want. Going about things in a skillful but maybe sly or underhanded way. And then also with foxes, it's about resources, doing what you must in order to survive to get what you need. So again, really spookily accurate, with an essence of like, this situation is going to be successful for you with that sun, which I thought was really interesting. And in the moment I was like, if I get the job, this app is really accurate. And the rune I got was the Jera rune. So essentially this is all about like interconnectedness and harvesting and rewards as well. So this really gave me a massive boost because it made me feel like I was going to be rewarded for my efforts. And what rewards am I looking for? This job, or a second interview, because it was a 3 to 4 step process. So success would also be like a second interview, even if I didn't get the job. And even if I didn't get the job, success to me and rewards is that I now have the confidence to realise I can actually go after what I want and try and get the dream job that I want and not let anything kind of stand in my way. So that as well was a reward in and of itself. So all in all, day one, Labyrinthios definitely helped in terms of making me feel more confident, smash that interview, and to also reflect on my feelings, my emotions, and it also accurately predicted the future with that success card, because I did get the job, by the way, spoiler alert. Okay, on to day 2. This is, so I did the day I was asking. Day 1 was me prepping for the interview. Day 2 was done the interview, now I'm gonna ask some questions about it. So I got the 4 of Wands, so my successes are worth celebrating was the quote around that, which felt really good because it's like you worry about the next steps. Did I do it? Did I do a good job? Am I getting, the second interview? But it's like, pause, breathe, you just accomplished something. So let's celebrate that first, then we can move on to the next thing. So I really appreciated that card. It made me like recognise and pause and be like, I did that, And then I got the 9 of Discs, which the quote around that was, I am safe and I deserve comfort. This was a reminder that I haven't lost anything by putting myself out there. I'm still comforted by the fact that I had my current job. So I've still got that safety and security and I haven't lost anything in doing this. I've actually gained something. And then I got the Star card. So, trusting in the invisible, dreams coming true. That's the way I see it anyway. And this gave me such reassurance that this would be successful and I would get a second interview. And I was offered a second interview. So once again, we're seeing Labyrinthios is really good at accurately representing my current as well as predicting my future. 2 days in a row. First time using the app. So really good so far. I also got the Snake and Lily as my oracle cards, which I thought was interesting because it's about going after your desires while also being wise and moral. So it was kind of like the Sun and Fox card again, a little bit. So once again, I'm seeing that reassurance of like push through to get what you want. I did kind of have to nitpick that interpretation because, to be honest, the way it paired these cards together and summed it up was like very sexual interpretation, and that was not relevant to my present. So I did have to like nitpick some of those keywords to kind of get that interpretation, but a little bit of trying to bend it to the situation, but still accurate. And then I got the Hagalaz rune as well, so that's all about a catalyst of change or upheaval, usually in a negative connotation, but in that moment I chose to interpret it as a good thing, like upheaval and change to this new role. But I do think it was doing a little bit of prediction there, little to my knowledge, because obviously I wasn't in the future yet, in terms of like negative change in the sense of like negative journey through that change, because I had a lot of backlash for the job jump, so I think it was actually predicting a little bit there, but in the moment I was like, no, like all good here. Okay, so for day 3 we're jumping because I didn't do this all in the same week, but I was prepping for my 3rd interview while also babysitting my little cousin, which was a lot of fun but also quite difficult to juggle those 2 things at the same time. So I got the Prince of Discs, which the quote that they had with that was, I achieved my ambitions without sacrificing my soul. I found this really powerful because at the time I had just put out like a video about like AI tarot readings, and I was like, can you use AI to like give a good tarot reading, me versus AI type thing. And then I had found out how unethical tarot reading was, and so I took that video down and decided like I wouldn't use like AI for anything. I stopped using it, and I found it weird to go from like using it to not. So I thought this was really interesting because it was kind of telling me like you can still achieve and do things and do well without sacrificing your soul. Like you don't need to depend on this thing in order to accomplish stuff and do stuff. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Like, you will lose your critical thinking skills if you continue to use AI. You'll be more capable if you don't. So, you know, that's what I feel like the card was kind of saying. So I did feel like it was really accurate at reflecting what I was thinking and what I was going through that day. I also got the Queen of Swords, and the quote around that was, "I accept that wisdom can come at an emotional cost." So I thought this was referring to my struggle with all the rules of like interview etiquette, because I'm like, so I have to be myself, but I can't be myself too much, because if you're yourself then you're not professional. But like, I have to be professional, but if I'm too professional then I'm boring, so I have to be myself. And then if I'm myself, and I was like struggling with that. So I think the way I interpreted this card was like, I'm trying to juggle two different sides of myself and show them equally, but of course that can come at an emotional cost, even if that's the wise choice, because it's draining to try and like merge two parts of yourself when you just want to be like yourself. And then I also got the Death card, so you know, beginnings, endings, transformation, that sort of thing. And so this just gave me reassurance that with this, well actually it gave me reassurance that with this third interview I'd get the job, but it also made me think, is it ending here? Is it ending here? And then I'm transforming in the sense that like I now know what to do to go after what I want. So I was like a little wobbly with it, you know, but it definitely was referring to me getting this new job and losing my old job, because actually at the time I was thinking of doing both at the same time. So I asked my new job if that would be okay. They said yes. So then I asked my old job if that would be okay. I went through the process of asking for like part-time, but they said no. I did want to do both, but ended up only doing the one. So I also think the Death card was trying to tell me, you're gonna lose that other job, your original one. But I at the time didn't want to hear that, so I was just like, so this means I'm changing, you know. I'm like transforming. Then I got Clouds and Moons for my oracle cards. So cute. Sorry, like the pairing, like come on, that's adorable. So this was really interesting, and I literally immediately gasped when I pulled those two cards out, because to me it reflects being up in the clouds where your dreams are, you know. So it's like me being with my dreams, like actually being able to reach them now, where your dreams come true, you know. And like that saying, it's something like shoot for the moon and you'll end up among the stars anyway, something like that. I don't really remember it, but at least you'll end up amongst the stars, or the clouds in this case. So I was like, even if I don't get the job, I'm now have like a little bit of an insight into how to go about getting this type of job. And I also know now how qualified I am for it, because I almost thought I wasn't. Like I looked at my experience when I was applying for this job and I was like, it hasn't built up for this job. And then I really took a look at it and was like, all of my experience has led up to me getting this job. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then like applied that and put that in my covering letter and things. And so in that sense, even if I didn't get the job, I now know how capable I am to get it and how qualified I am as well. And so that made me feel like reassured. And with the Clouds and the Moons, it made me feel better, because I was definitely stressing about my competition, because the competition was fierce. Okay, the competition was fierce. There was so many people who applied for this job. There was like 7 people in the like 3rd round of interviews. Everyone was really great. I was like, oh my god. There was like 3 people in particular where I was like, I'm out. Like I'm out and they're getting it. But I actually got it. But yeah, so when I saw the Clouds and Moons representing like dreams and being with your dreams and stuff, I definitely felt less stressed and started daydreaming about me like being an orphan mentor, reading people's books, like eating grapes in the bath. Like that's what I was kind of picturing. And I got the Afala rune as well, which is about like inheritance, ancestry, legacy, tradition. I saw this as me kind of creating legacy for my younger cousins, because I was hoping that me getting a job that like I love and that I'm doing for the love of it and the passion of it will show them a different side to things and show them that they can actually enjoy life, this kind of corporate shitty, you know, life, but you can enjoy life and feel aspired towards a job and have a job feel fulfilling for you, and to be excited about it. It doesn't have to be like a negative thing. And I was feeling that way because I'd been like going around to everyone being like, oh my god, I'm so nervous, I got this job and I need to do this and this and this, and I was feeling really nervous and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I get it, and I was kind of like fangirling and then panicking a little bit in behind the scenes, and I didn't realise they were kind of eavesdropping on those conversations. And then I think I called someone, and while I was on the phone to them, in the background I heard them say, wait, can I ask Katie something? And they were like, yeah, go on. And they were like, did you get your next interview? And I was like, why would two children give a shit about this? I was like, yes. And they were like, oh yeah, we're so happy for you. And I was like, I've inspired them. Like, I felt so touched because I was like, one, they care, that's so cute. I didn't give a shit about anybody else when I was that age, like, even now. I'm joking. So anyway, and I was like really pleased because I was like, oh my gosh, like I could be inspiring them to maybe even get into like publishing, like, and then also I'm kind of creating a legacy in the sense that once I have a foot in, I can help them get a foot in too if this is something they're interested in. So I was also wondering if that was kind of what the card was talking about, where it's the rune was talking about, where it's talking about legacy and something I'm leaving behind for them if I keep, you know, going towards my goals and going in this direction. So day 4, we're gonna skip to the next interview day. So I got the Queen of Wands, because there was a lot of interviews during this whole thing, by the way. But I got the Queen of Wands. I inspire others through my passion and determination. That was the quote attached with it. The Two of Wands. I give myself permission to dream big. And the Knight of Chalices. There are solutions that both my heart and my mind can agree on. These weren't very predicty-y, but they were very reassuring that I should be going for what I want today and that it could have a big impact, especially in terms of inspiring the little ones in my family. And for my oracle, I got the Key and Mountain, so I'm overcoming a challenge and being given an opportunity, unlocking a door, starting something new. So that was more of like a prediction there, which was actually accurate. And I also got the Gebo rune, so this was all about a gift, exchange, generosity, reciprocity. So an exchange of something, a trade-in of one job for another, but then also a gift, because the gift is this new job, this new opportunity. And the offer of that, or the offer of a next interview, because I think I did a 4th one as well. So this was very prediction-y. Day 5, I didn't check my emails that night because I was nervous, but the next day I got offered another interview, and I did a reading later that night, and my card, just to ask about it, and my cards were the Two of Discs. I accept uncertainty with the knowledge I can adapt. That seems like I'm getting closer, if that makes sense. As I'm getting closer and closer to the end of this process, the doubts are creeping in. So when it's saying I can accept uncertainty, knowing that I can adapt, it was reassurance that I can adapt to the stresses, but also whatever the outcome will be as well. I got the Three of Wands. My actions today create tomorrow's future, reminding me to put the effort in today to get the thing I want the next day. So do that interview prep and then do the interview. So I was being told, like, prep, don't delay on this. So I started prepping. So it literally inspired me to take action in the moment as well. And then once again, I got the Star card. By the way, this app gave me the Star card like 1,000 times. And the Star card and the Strength card are actually my birth tarot cards, so it was very, like, reflective of me. I feel like this app is very tailored to me. And it is, because it asks you all those questions in the beginning so that it can tailor to you. But again, dreams coming true, really giving me that reassurance once again, making me feel, like, empowered throughout this process. My oracle was the Stork in the Ship, which I thought was so cute. So journeys, traveling, new journeys, voyage, transformation, delivering a gift. So definitely movement, shift. I'm leaving something behind, going somewhere new and getting a reward for this. So that's the way I was seeing this. To support that, my rune was the Dagger rune. This was new beginnings, breakthroughs, awakenings, completion, once again really tying in so accurately with those oracle cards. Sort of letting me know that I'd be getting a breakthrough, I'd be getting what I want, that I'm starting something new and going to a new pasture, you know. And even though that was day 5, I'm going to tell you this bonus card because it was just so on point. But on the day of my 3rd and final-ish interview, because the 4th one was an interview, but it wasn't. It was more like, you know, salary expectations, that kind of thing. Like, it was more ironing out the details. On the day of my 3rd and final interview, the oracle card I got, take a guess. The book. And I was applying to be an author mentor. The book. Are you joking? Like, it was just so scarily accurate. It's like, it's a publishing role, hello? Like, and I got the book. And it's about being like, with the book it was like knowledge and things like that and wisdom, but to me, that none of that mattered. It's the fact that the symbol is the book, like, hello. My final thoughts, at the time I remember thinking, like, you know, if I get the job, this app was like crazy accurate and I'm gonna hype it up as much as possible, use it myself continuously for the rest of forever. Okay, but if I don't get the job, I was gassed up for nothing through this whole process. This app is a sham. It just tells you things you want to hear that leaves you high and dry, and I'm never going to use it. I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to tell everyone to delete it off their phones. But luckily, you know, I did get the job. So. Turn the music off. There will be no app usage at all, of any kind. And then I got it, so I was like, okay, it's fine. Turn the music back on. I'm just joking, obviously. On a serious note, even if the app wasn't accurate, it still did amazing things in the sense that it inspired me to take action in moments where I was inactive. It made me feel better, which is really important, and it helped me with my introspection. It made me feel more confident. So it still achieved things that tarot nowadays does achieve for people. Even if it didn't predict anything, it made me feel great, you know, and helped motivate me and keep me on track with my goals. So for that reason, it still would have been a really good app, even if it didn't predict anything, but it did actually predict a lot. So accurately, to add. The accuracy is off the charts, genuinely. Overall, final thoughts, I think it's a brilliant app. But I could be a bit biased because, you know, my ego was stroked the whole way through and it is attached to this positive memory for me. Even though I only used it for a week, you know, I will probably still keep this app forever because I do think it's a really good one. And I did only use the free version, but I feel like with the paid version you're just getting all of that stuff plus more storage for your journal. The paid version is £9.49 a month or £23.49 quarterly or £83.99 annually. For me, because money... Tarot's taken my money anyway because I got so many tarot cards, so I'd just whip out my own tarot cards rather than pay for any apps. But for other people who don't have tarot cards or decks and things, and you want to have like a wide range of stuff and you don't want to necessarily buy it or have it taking up space or have to learn tarot in order to do it, this is a really great way in order for you to have that experience, but just in a digital way, in a virtual way that's very like clean, tidy, you know, nothing lying around taking up space. So in that sense it can be really good for some people, but just for me personally, as someone with so many decks already, it's not necessary for me to have the paid version. Now I'm going to be reviewing the Galaxy Tarot app for 5 days, so follow along with me for those 5 days. Something I really liked about the Galaxy app was that I think it's unique in the sense that not only will it give you the definition of the card, but it gives you so much more. It also gives you the reverse definitions, it gives you the associations of the cards, so that's the colour interpretations, symbol interpretations, the numbers, the zodiac signs, what else is connected to this card, the planets. It's giving you all that information too. So what you can do is, let's say you get a card of the day, you tap on that card, it gives you the definition. You can swipe and it gives you the reverse. You swipe, it will give you all the symbols. If you keep swiping, it will show you everything associated with the card, and then you can go into those and learn more about those if you want to. So let's say the Magician is associated with the number 1, because it is. you would then slide across to associations. You can go straight to numbers. It will say this card is associated with the number 1, and you can click on 1 and find out what number 1 means and why, which I think is really good because numbers are a big part of tarot. And a lot of the times when I do a reading for people, I'm like, you know, if you want to go look up those numbers, or I can look it up for you, that kind of thing. It's a lot of faff, you know, so it's good that the app just like has it and does it for you. So I really liked that element, and I think that's very unique, and it's honestly really good for tarot learners if you want to learn things surrounding the tarot cards. I would actually say Labyrinthios is really good in terms of the variety it gives you, but as a learning tool, Galaxy probably is in the win there, is in the lead, and I would probably keep both. I liked both of these apps the most out of all of them, so I would actually probably keep both of those. Bear in mind as well, I'm using the free version, so there's probably even more that you could see and get by using the paid version, but already it's giving me so much from that option. But listen, I'm reviewing for the broke bitches like me, okay, to be inclusive of the poor people, so my fellow poor bitches, so you know, I won't be reviewing that, but I will review the free version. And also it does give you, in the sense that it gives you so much option in terms of looking at the associations, you can also then try and test your intuition and kind of use that more. So for example, like I clicked on a card and then went to the colour associations, and there was like 9 colour associations. So I was like, I ain't about to read all of those. So I was like, and I picked the one I was most drawn to, and then I'm taking it as like that one was meant for me for this reading, and that one was relevant. So you get like an extra message on top of the tarot card based on what you're vibing with. So I think while Lab had a few stilted learning opportunities, in my personal opinion, I think Galaxy has much more room for like creative and in-depth learning when it comes to the tarot cards. It's very well-rounded and really gives you opportunity for like analysis of each card and each association. So I actually think you can go further if you're trying to learn tarot with the Galaxy app. Arguably, I prefer this style of learning, this more open style, rather than multiple choice, because I just feel like I'm cheating like the whole time. Something else I really liked about this encyclopedia, where it's sort of showing you all these associations, is that it gives you a much more fluid way to interpret the cards rather than like a rigid way. So when it just tells you like the upright meaning, or it's like really short and there's not much to go into, it really stilts your ability to interpret a card. But when you're getting all these different angles, you're getting like a massive chunk of like what it is upright, what it is reversed. It gives you the chance to come up with what you think this card means relating to the question you've asked. Because of course, if like let's say the full card is like travel, naivety, vulnerability, support, success, that's a lot of different things going on. So all of those might not apply to the question you've asked, but if you've asked something very specific, like what am I feeling, you might be feeling very optimistic or ambitious or carefree, or maybe quite vulnerable, based on what we know about the full card and all of its different interpretations. But you're not then going to go, you're feeling successful, you're feeling like you want to go on a journey. Like those things aren't relevant, so you're going to ignore those. So I like that it gives you this broad way to interpret the cards, because it gives you the opportunity to think for yourself about what it means. Whereas other people might prefer direct guidance on what the card means with like Labyrinthios. Although this is giving you a definition, I'm just saying Galaxy is giving you that definition too, but it's just also giving you the option to like come up with stuff yourself. The one thing about the Galaxy app is that you only get one type of deck, you don't get to choose. This can't be customized. So you're limited to using this standard traditional deck, which isn't inclusive either. But it's good in the sense that it teaches you traditional tarot and traditional symbols, but it's stilted. I've always been a fan of like alternative decks, and I will say this from the rooftops, I say it time and time again, just because they are more inclusive. So in that sense, that's one of my pet peeves, but I do understand in the sense that they want to tell you the traditional meanings, so they have to show you the traditional depictions on the cards. The design element of the app is actually quite cool. It's not nowhere near as advanced as Labyrinthios, but it's kind of cool and retro. Like, in its style, it's kind of giving old vibes of tarot reading, which I actually really like. And I will say, comparing it to Lab, because that's the one we've reviewed so far, I do think Labyrinthios has that edge in terms of accessibility and affordability, because you do get access to the journal even if you don't get that much space, whereas with Galaxy the journal is a paid for feature, so you don't get access to that. So it's a little bit more exclusatory in my opinion. Like, unless you're taking manual notes or screenshots, you're gonna kind of miss out on that when it comes to Galaxy, which, you know, once you've had the reading you've then forgotten it kind of thing, and it doesn't help you to keep track of those things or to like reflect on them. You can also select different spreads just like you can on Galaxy on Labyrinthios, but some spreads are locked up for like the paid for version, so you won't get access to everything in that sense, whereas with Labyrinthios you did get access to the spreads, or lots of spreads. So in that sense, Galaxy is ever so slightly inconvenient because you can't make notes and you would have to pay to make notes. So it's like, what's the point? What's the point? It does give you the option to ask your question, shuffle the deck, and then select the card you want, which I think is cool as well. I do like that. And then it will reveal the card. But as I'm doing it, I feel like it's just randomly generated anyway, and I'm just like, it feels pointless that I'm shuffling it because I know it's not shuffling anything. If they're gonna pull the magician card for me, the magician card is getting pulled whether I shuffle this thing or not. But it's just like a little bit of fun for the experience and the vibes. In terms of pricing, for a year it's £9.74, so 1,000 times more affordable than Labyrinthios, because Labyrinthios was like 90 quid for a year and this is a tenner for a year, or £2.99 a month, which again, not bad, quite affordable for what it is. Okay, so now we're on to the Uni Tarot app. So, first impressions on the app is that you have the option to download a deck, create or start a new spread, view saved spreads, or upgrade to VIP for more spreads, more options. It has a few deck options that you can download and then use, but there's also VIP decks as well, so again, you're only going to access those with the paid version. But the free ones are stunning, so it doesn't even matter. Like, the free ones are so pretty. But the free ones are quite rigid to the traditional tarot, which again, a little bit of a pet peeve for me, but you know, they're still really pretty, but they are very like traditional. When you select a spread, the cards like shuffle round on the screen and you have to tap to stop them and then select a card. You can then click on the card to get the definition. The layout is really smooth and it mimics old calligraphy on yellowed weathered paper for an authentic effect. It tells you everything about the card, leaving no stone unturned, including the element, colour, astrology dates, esoteric title, keywords, the Rider-Waite definition, a description, traditional meanings, theories, and a conclusion. You can also draw an extra card on top of your reading if you need to, which is a nice unique feature that I haven't seen in the other apps. And you can select a colour theme for the background. You can also save the readings and make some notes, which is a nice thing to add in for free. It makes it very convenient. This is also really good because there are so many spreads you can pick from that are all free, and you can create your own spreads too, adding cards and creating a question/name for each one. It has a very similar vibe to the Galaxy app in the sense that the style is retro and stereotypical. One thing I struggled with is that the interpretations, although they're giving you a lot, give me nothing. Like, they were really confusing and quite strange, and that made it very hard to interpret, and very, like, I don't even know if whimsical is the right word, but just very obscure things that it was saying, and I found that really difficult, where I was just like, using my own interpretations that I know about the cards, I was using my own knowledge, but it's like, that's not why I'm using the app. Like, I also want you to tell me something, you know. Pricing wise for VIP, it's £3.49, which I imagine is a forever price because it didn't specify like week, month, year, so I think you just pay that and boom, it's done. You've got access to VIP, which if that's the case, that's really cool. I love it when apps do that. Apps used to do that a lot back in the day, and then now they don't. But yeah, So, uni tarot app review. So, day one, I got the death card. I was asking whether or not I would be able to keep my current job alongside my new job, and I got the death card, and I was a little bit in denial. So I was like, this could mean new beginnings, which means like something is different, you know, maybe it's just like changing the way I do it, but I still have it, kind of thing. And I was just trying to like trying to get the interpretation I wanted, not the one that it was telling me. It was trying to tell me, nah bitch, like, you, but I was annoyed. I was like, that's not clear, and it's actually very fucking clear. Like, it's like, you're not keeping this job, but like, I didn't want to hear that. So I was like, this is confusing, this message, what's this? Like, and then the next day I did the same thing. It gave me the Queen of Wands. When I was asking the same question, so like mourning, loss, being a widower, like that kind of thing was kind of coming up. And I was like, once again, I was like, really confusing. Yeah, I don't know what it's trying to tell me. I don't know what it's trying to say. And it's like, it's trying to say you're not keeping your job. So then the next day I was like, okay, I'm gonna ask something different, fuck that. So I got the 8 of Cups. I was asking about how an upcoming event was going to go, where I was going to be meeting my colleagues for the first time. And this represents like letting go of something, walking away from what doesn't work for you anymore. So the way I was kind of interpreting this was like, I'll be reflecting on some of my behaviours and thoughts and feelings that are kind of like holding me back a little bit, and trying to like work on those while I'm at the event and while I'm meeting new people and stuff, and kind of start to improve myself a little bit more. That's kind of the vibe I was getting. And the definition on the app was very literal. It was about like leaving the home. True, I'm going out for the day. Changes in family or social circle, which is true because I'm meeting new people and I'll be surrounded physically by a new group. But it could have also meant like your social group / family will change because of this meeting, if that makes sense. It could have meant that. Jury's still out on that one. I'll have to get back to you on whether or not that's accurate. And it also said little changes to see one's wishes and dreams sort of like coming true, with like undertones of like shyness, timidness, disorder, waywardness, mixed sensations and dissatisfaction, which was all pretty true, to be honest. It's like that's kind of what I was talking about, is reflecting on those things like shyness, timidness, to try and like improve myself a little bit, and doing like little things to make those ambitions come true. So doing tiny things to switch up that kind of thing about myself. Still work in progress, but you know, that I was kind of like working on that for that day. So this was all very accurate in reflecting how I was feeling, how I was going to feel, and the way I was going to behave as well. With day 4, I got the Hierophant. So this was, in the app, it was described as being like an important community figurehead, which true, yes. Being involved in community, that sort of thing, which I do think was very reflective of my day, because I was doing a lot. So I went to a work event. I then supported my little cousins at their sports day. I took them to the cinema, see the new Lilo and Stitch. You know, I was spending a lot of time with family and work colleagues and stuff, and being a very involved member of the community. So it really did apply to my days at the time. And then I got the Queen of Coins for my 5th day, which symbolised greatness of the soul, practical, homely, motherly, down-to-earth, secure, intelligent. This was a good card to sum up my day because I was babysitting, but it also was like that kind of getting down to earth symbolism really related to me and resonated with me, as I was trying to be present and not like think about small things, but think about like the moment and appreciate those small things. So rather than think, okay, so I've got to like cook for them or tidy or do this or do that, instead I was just trying to be like present. And like one of my cousins was like painting my nails, and I was just trying to like be like, oh, this is so cute, and like enjoy the moment and like just like let go and just really savor these moments, because they're the important bits in life. And like we were like doing like karaoke and like all these other things, and I was just trying to like enjoy the moment. So this was also very accurate how I was feeling. Tarot deck rider first impressions. There's a few options to have like a reading online using AI. So again, these AI generated readings that are being offered are very similar to Labyrinthios. And the app is also more focused on like teaching you how to tarot read. And there's like a quiz and like course sections. I just really liked all of that. It was very, you know, there's a lot to pick from. I gave it a go for some of them just to test them out, and I do think it's very game-like, which could help you to learn, but at the same time it almost sets you up to guess rather than know with the multiple choice style questions, but I do like it. To track your progress, you would need to upgrade. You also have to upgrade to watch or listen to the courses, which is fair, of course, but that does lock off that feature for those using the free version. You can also look up the meanings of each cards and do a simple yes or no spread, a card of the day, or a free card spread. One thing that I actually kind of found a little bit annoying is whenever you accomplish a quiz or finish one or whatever, it sets off a bunch of fireworks, which I actually found really annoying. I was like, get off the screen, I'm trying to do stuff. And then it also asks if you want to share your achievement with others, and it's like, no, leave me alone. When you do reading, it gives you keywords, the relevance to your question, and the meaning of the card. There's also an option for AI to interpret your spread, and it will do like a general reading for free, but all other like specified questions are reserved for like the paid members of the app. Premium prices a week are £4.69, or monthly £9.49, or yearly £37.99. So again, more on the pricey side, and I'm not seeing like too much for like why I would pay that amount, you know. But it's still a lot cheaper than Labyrinthios, and to be honest, Labyrinthios has a lot, it's very in-depth, so I get it, but like still it's much more affordable than that one. Okay, and then I used the Tarot Deck Rider for 5 days. So day 1, I got the Three of Swords, all about hurt, pain, sorrow, and it was very interesting because I was having a hard day, which, you know, was of course bringing those like sorrowful feelings, because it was something I was struggling with, so I was just kind of like, it did accurately reflect how I was feeling, but I didn't really feel like overwhelm or sadness or anything like that. I was kind of neutral, but also just like disappointed, if that makes sense. And then day 2, I got the Seven of Pentacles, so long-term investment, sustainable results, perseverance. So that gave me the idea that I might be making small decisions on that day to contribute positively to my future. I was planning on taking like a chill day from bed because I had a cold and I wanted to catch up on some personally fulfilling hobbies for myself. So, you know, like a little tarot reading for myself, do a bit of book writing, do some catching up on some shows that I missed. I wanted to take like a mellow day, but I was also working on the script for this video, which, you know, has been such a long work in progress. So maybe it was referring to me making progress in that particular effort and goal. So in that sense, very accurate, I feel. On day 3, I got the Four of Cups, so feeling unfulfilled, doing a lot of meditation, contemplation, introspection. I'd actually had a really good day going hunting at TK Maxx for Halloween shit, and although I didn't get anything that I wanted or set out to get, I did get some stuff, and I got fucking swindled at a cherry stall. So, you know, ups and downs, but I actually had a good day. So I didn't feel like this was that reflective of my day. I was like looking all cute and shit. I had this really cute like bandana on. Let me show you. This was the bandana, bitch. Sorry, but how cute is that? It's little daisies and shit. It's adorable. So I was having a good day because I was wearing this cute bandana. And I had my little jar of cherries or whatever, and then I also bought like some jars to put it in, and they were cute, and like the glass ones with like the different colours, so you know, I was having a good day. So I didn't feel like that reflected me in terms of like feeling dissatisfied or anything like that. And then day 4, I got the Eight of Cups reversed, so like feeling trapped, that stagnation, resistance to change, all those sorts of things. So that was defo accurate, as I kind of trapped myself a little bit by my choices. That's how I was feeling. Like, I felt like I've trapped myself a little bit from some choices I had made. I felt like I had kind of blocked something off from myself without going into too much detail. So this really was accurate to how I was feeling in the moment. But I saw it differently a few days later based on another tarot reading. But yeah, that was how I was feeling. And day 5 I got the Three of Cups, so celebration, joy, friendship. I wouldn't say I particularly had these things on the day, like I wasn't feeling necessarily all of these things, but I was working as a group of 3 on a project with people I get along with, so, you know, I was happy to do the project, and most of the day it was a lot of self-reflection, to be honest. First impressions of iFate. So to preface, iFate is not an app, it is a website. The reason I included it though is because I had heard really good things about it, and even though it's not an app, I did just want to use it and see what that was like. It is very in-depth. There's a lot of options, so many different types of readings you can get. They also have live tarot readers on the side. I'm not going to include their face in the video, but they pop up and they're basically like on a Zoom and you can join whenever you want, or like a live, which I wouldn't do just because it's like awkward in it. Like, why are we looking at each other? Like, it maybe if I couldn't see them, I don't know, but I suppose it helps to prove it's like authentic, but for me it's a no. But they had so many different, you could do different types of love readings, career readings, you could do like, they had so many different types of readings. It was really thorough, and I feel like that made it very different from all the apps. It is less convenient because you have to like go on the site, so unless you're on the site all the time, it's not going to be a part of your like regular sites that you can just like click on. So you'd have to think about it, go out of your way to look it up and then use it. So it's a little bit faffy, but it is free. You know, and they actually keep you up to date on their plans. Like, they have like a little section that's like, this is what we're going to be doing, this is what we're bringing next. There's also so many other features. It's not just tarot, there's also additional things as well. So they've got like iFate tarot, but then they had like iFate palm reading or whatever. Like, they've got loads of other things. They had psychic live streams, they had the magic fate ball, love readings, birth chart readings for couples, moon phases, daily horoscopes, and so much more. Something I really liked about iFate was actually the articles at the bottom. I found them like really interesting to read. Like, for example, they had an article that was Are Runes the Language, and I was reading that and I found that quite fun. And it lets you know the person it was written by as well, which I like, because, you know, we don't like no ghostwriters over here. That's not fair to the ghostwriter. Okay, been there, done that. So using Galaxy for a week, so on day 1 I got the Wheel of Fortune for my card of the day. So, you know, your fate path changing, good luck, bad luck, all those sorts of things, luck turning around, things rolling, things moving, getting things going. At the time, it was quite reflective of my present moment, because I did feel like my luck was changing, because I always end up in situations where I'm like, ugh, like, why has this happened to me? And then for the first time, it's like I got the job I wanted and I was like, hold up. Things are changing, something's happening, things are changing, things are moving. And I was like feeling optimistic that like my luck has changed somehow. And then also when it sort of talked about getting things moving, I was starting like a new morning routine of like going for walks around the park and taking pictures of like the pond and the ducks and whatnot. And that's how I was choosing to start my morning, because I want to prioritize doing something for me than going to work. I don't want to get up and go, now I need to get ready for work, and have that be my first thing of the day. The first thing of the day should be about me. So that was something I was starting and that I wanted to like maintain. They closed off the road to the park, so I can't actually go to the park, but I am doing other things where like I get up in the morning, first thing I'm going to do is prioritize breakfast, because I never do that. And then I'm also going to do like a little bit of meditation, a little bit of me time, just to like prioritize me first thing in the day. And I think that's kind of what this card was representing to me in that moment. So it was reflecting my present very accurately. Day 2, I got the Ace of Cups, so abundance in love, creativity, spiritual awakening. It also talks about receiving like divine messages from spirit or the universe and accepting that creative flow and using it. And you know what, bitch, I've been feeling like I have this book idea that I've had since I was like 18, and I haven't written it, and I'm so worried that someone else is gonna get the idea into it. And I actually told someone my fucking book idea the other day. I was like, why would you do this? I just, you know what? But I feel like that's kind of what it was talking about with the Ace of Cups. Is like, use what the universe, what downloads the universe is giving you. Don't let them pass you by, because they'll go to someone else. So it inspired me to work on my book. and it motivated me. So whether or not it's true or right or wrong, it's motivating me and inspiring me. Day 3, I was going to say 4 because I did it on the 4th of April. But day 3, I got the Page of Wands. I did not feel like this was relevant for me at the time because it was about enthusiasm, following inspiration, doing something creative, something new, something inspiring. The only thing I did that day was wake up early for a morning walk around the park, do my work, and go to bed. That was all I fucking did. So there was like no enthusiasm, no like trying something new or doing something different or feeling inspired. I didn't have any of that day. So it didn't really reflect what I was feeling in the moment. I found it hard to connect the card to my day like I did with Labyrinthios, just because there was such a lack of variety in the cards as well, and the type of interpretations that were available. I found it quite hard to try and like connect it to my life. Day 4, I got the 7 of Coins. So I was kind of being told to reevaluate what is and isn't working for me in projects and make a new plan of action. I was doing this for YouTube and my book at the same time, so this was very accurate. I was kind of reflecting on what doesn't work, what should I kind of let go of, and what should I prioritize, that sort of thing. And then day 5, I got the Star card, dreams coming true, wish fulfillment, spiritual connection. So I felt like this was a really nice idea of like dreams coming true, wish fulfillment, spiritual connection. And it could have been referencing my new job. I hadn't started it yet, but it could have been referencing that, in which case it is accurate, but I'd already sort of had those messages. So for me, it's like I wasn't receiving anything new, and it just didn't vibe with me. It just wasn't vibing. I found it hard to get what I was looking for out of my daily reflections using this app. But I do love getting the Star card, you know, but I think to go from getting 3 tarot cards, 2 oracles, 1 rune, to getting 1 tarot card meant that I just felt like I wasn't getting as fulfilled as I was with the other app. I started using myself for 5 days. So I got, using the Reclaim oracle that I just got, I got openness and criticism to the question I asked. So I was asking like, how can I start like a revolution and change society, because like that's like really important to me, and it literally reflected my thoughts on that day, like literally what I had been thinking. It literally said that. So kind of like replaced my fear with courage. You know, my teacher did this courage test at school when I was in primary school, and I've never forgotten it, and it stayed with me ever since. But basically there was this like goody two shoes golden boy of the class who she was always like, oh, you're my favourite, you always do the best, blah, 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 blah. Alright, I was probably the least favourite. I was the opposite. What's the opposite of a teacher pet? Whatever that is, that was me. He was like the teacher's pet, and she did this thing where she went and like conspired with him and one other student and was like, so I'm gonna have a go at you, it's gonna be really unjust. We're gonna see who stands up. If no one stands up, I want you to stand up because I want to see if people then start standing up, kind of thing. So he did something very minor, like didn't get her a pencil in time or something. So she started screaming at him. And I remember sitting there like being like, this is so unfair, because I was like, he didn't do anything wrong, and also like he's your favourite and he never does anything wrong, and like this is a lot of energy for a lot of nothing, alright? So I was feeling this rage. I was like, I'm gonna stand up for him in a minute, but I didn't even like this bitch, but I was like, I'm gonna stand up for him because this isn't just. But I felt really like glued to my seat, and like it would be really wrong of me to like stand up. And then the second guy who was in on it stood up and was like, this is wrong, you shouldn't be shouting at him, blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm glad someone stood up, like, because it wasn't going to be me. And when they finished this little skit, she was like, it was a test, I was testing to see who would be like sheep and whatnot, blah blah blah. To say I was pissed was an understatement. I was like, are you joking? Because if I ever stood up for anybody, detention, like immediately punished. And there's one time I wouldn't have been punished if I had done what I always feel to do. And I was like, oh. I was like, you're joking. So it stayed with me ever since, and I do try and like act where I can, where I think it's safe to do so, in like moments. It's usually not safe, always end up getting me arse beat, but you know, like I do try to be more like courageous because of that. And so this stuck with me ever since, but I've always had ups and downs with being courageous. Like, you know, sometimes it's fine and it goes well and the person is like concedes and they're like, okay, you know what, yeah, I shouldn't have been talking to them that way, you're right. Like, but a lot of the times people aren't that mature and they don't do that reflection and they're like, well, I'm gonna punch them in the face because I want to punch them in the face. Who are you to tell me not to do that? And I'm like, just a good person. Like that. So I've always had like ups and downs with like being courageous. Recently I've been thinking about being more courageous, leaning more into that, because the last time that I was, it ended very badly and wasn't fun. So I just haven't really like been that motivated to be courageous anymore, but I really think I was thinking on that day and reflecting like I should be, and then I got those 2 cards and I was like, what did I just say? So it was very accurate, if I do say so myself. Day 2 of using myself was the same as day 2 for when I used iFate, so I'm gonna get into that later. But I got the same message as I got on iFate, so me and iFate were like synchronizing, okay? But I got the message of hope from the Reclaim Oracle when I asked how am I going to feel today, or what feelings will today inspire. I also got confused and attachment as well, with symbols of being attached to the home, travel, pets, people, and I got the 3 of Wands, which is a card I wanted to get and that I thought I would get, and I was literally thinking I'm gonna get the 3 of Wands, then I got the 3 of Wands and I knew I would. And that card is all about progress and expansion, so that was really what I was looking for. So it is kind of very much the kind of exact same as the Page of Wands, which is what I got using the other app on the same day, being able to expand and progress. So it really inspired me for that day, and I really felt like everything accurately aligned with my situation of making progress and expanding in areas of like pets, home, people, because I was making progress in some home situations, and also my cat was like staying with a friend because I had a flood and I got her back, so I felt like progress was happening in terms of like my pets as well. By day 3 using myself, I got the World card, so celebration, completion. So I felt like I might be completing something and I felt really good about that, especially when it came to like ideas of my book. Like I just had a feeling and I feel like it's gonna go well. Day 4, I got the Tower card in reverse. In reverse, perhaps the reversal of chaos. You could take it that way. Maybe because of my job, it's like the reversal of chaos in the sense of if every job hasn't aligned with me, in a sense, that's chaos, in a sense. And then to get a job that aligns with me, it's the reversal of that. So that's how I was kind of seeing that. But you can also take it as the need to stay put, because I always see like the upright tower as like an eviction from a property. So when it's in reverse, it's like stay there, or it's you leaving yourself on like a not being evicted, but in like a mutual kind of way. It's like having restoration of a falling out, or being able to choose whether you stay or go kind of thing, and having that choice and adjusting to areas in your life that need that adjustment. That's the way I personally like to interpret the Tower in reverse. And so for that reason, I did feel like this was really accurately reflecting everything going on with like my job and living situation and all those sorts of things. And then the last day, day 5, so I got the 4 of Cups and the Strength card on day 5, which I thought was really powerful, because with the Strength card, it's an element of like you're handling conflict in a mature way. And I had just learned a few conflict resolution techniques, or just in general communication techniques that are good for both conflict and like non-confrontational kind of conversations. And so I felt like getting that along with the major arcana being the card itself, the Strength card. Major arcanas represent like big changes, so I felt like learning this new technique was going to have a big impact and ripple effect across my life in the way that I handle like conflicts with other people. I had also just started like a new meditation technique to try to help with like boosting my self-confidence and stuff, so it was pretty on point there with like the 4 of Cups trying to like boost that, you know. So with iFate, day 1, I got the Strength card in reverse, so I was being warned of like rash decisions, displays of aggression, mine or someone else's, and it was basically like don't react, which I think was very valuable for that day, because there were people who were like being that way with me and like confrontational and whatnot, and I had to remind myself to like keep my cool and be really chill and really mellow, because the tarot cards told me to. So so it was actually really relevant. Because it's like, even if you don't see the like positive outcomes of you handling this maturely, trust that if you hadn't handled it maturely, there would have been like a negative consequence for you that you've avoided. So even if I don't see that, it's happened, you know. Day 2, I got Page of Wands, so hope for the future, optimism, that sort of thing. To sort of look at the lifeless land around you. Why was that so hard to say? To look at the lifeless land around you and see opportunities for regrowth. So I was kind of, I feel like with this new achievement, this new unlocked door, yes, there's a lot around me that still needs working on. There's a lot that needs to be done. But I have this hope and optimism now that I'm at the start of something good, where it's like only up from here, if that makes sense. So that was how I was feeling, especially when it came to like my book and my personal projects. Day 3, 6 of Coins, wanting to be kind and generous, because I understand roles could be reversed. So assisting with generosity. I did offer my sister an opportunity to add to my Greg's order that morning, so I do think I was actually very generous. That's what that meant. Other than that, no, haven't been generous. Day 4, I got the Knight of Swords, so to be ambitious towards goals, almost to the point of over-ambition without considering consequences. I was considering moving, because I was like, new job, new me, I'm gonna move. And then I was like, slow it down. Like, yeah, I ain't even made it past probation, love. Like, you need to, like, have all your finances in order, know what's coming in, what's going out, like, know what you're doing in order to do something like that. So I think I was being very rash and overly ambitious without thinking about the consequences, just trying to get what I wanted. Unfortunately, that does mean I have lost 2 really nice flats in the meantime, but, you know, I'm trying to be mature and wait for the right opportunity. And then day 5, I got the 5 of Wands, so the conflict of opposing thoughts or conflict in general. I didn't have any conflict that day, but I was taught the conflict resolution techniques, so I feel like it was telling me like, you're gonna figure out how to handle conflict. Now I kind of want to talk about synchronicities across the apps, so I've made a little chart which I'm going to put on the screen now. To delve deeper into the accuracy of the apps, I wanted to see if the apps would relay the same messages each day on the same day. So my thought process was that if they have a lot of synchronicities, then it must be accurate, because all the apps are picking up on this one key message for me on the same day. But to be honest, even if they don't have a lot of synchronicities, that still doesn't devalue the app's accuracy, because I might have a lot of messages that I need to receive that day. This isn't something to live by, but it is something I just wanted to test. So using all 5 apps on the same days across 5 different days, I asked for a daily card pull. I added my findings to this chart and I tallied up the synchronicities and determined from that which apps were the most accurate or seemed to pair well together. The cards highlighted in purple are the ones that cropped up across other apps in the same day. So if this led to 3 apps coming into a joint first place for accuracy, which was iFate, Galaxy and myself. Okay, I know I'm not an app. And why am I in there? I just wanted to test to see if I was quite good at predicting my own stuff. I just wanted to put myself in there. I wanted to see if doing it yourself is better than using an app. But that can be another video for another time. But yeah, I did want to test that. But yeah. Beyond that, even if I didn't get the same cards across all the apps, I did notice other patterns popping up. So usually on the same day, I would see a lot of the same suits across the apps. So for example, I saw a lot of 1s on day 1, and this also happened with numbers, as I saw a lot of 8s on day 2. So definitely by having a few of the apps, you can kind of gauge what's relevant for you in terms of pattern recognition, if that's something that like you vibe with. You know, for me, if I see like, I don't know, like I did a voice note the other day, and when I stopped and sent it, it was 111. It was 1 minute and 11 seconds long, and I was like, that's relevant to me today. So seeing like that you might get a lot of 8s across all the apps that day can tell you that maybe the number 8 is relevant to you. So maybe go look up what the message is for that. Or if you get a lot of wands, then that's telling you there's something relevant about your creativity that day. Or if you get a lot of swords, there's something really important about your mind today. So it just kind of was giving that. And the synchronicities were interesting in the sense that it's like, clearly there's a level of accuracy in that sense, because they're picking up on the same thing and giving that to you. Even if they're not giving you the exact same card, you're getting similar meanings from very similar cards. The apps also seem to be getting better at synchronizing the more I used them. So the more the days went on, the better they got. So changing from 2 matched cards across all mediums in the first 3 days to 6 matched cards by the last 2 days. Maybe this is like some sort of AI thing and they do this on purpose. Maybe they're all synced up. I don't know. But it was starting to get more accurate as the days went on as well. The last thing that I wanted to kind of go over, if I just get Canva up, because that is where I made these graphs. So the last sort of thing I wanted to go over was just to look at everything from like a bird's eye view and calculate, you know, across all these mediums, which app is the best. So in terms of predicting the future, Labyrinthios won with flying colours. And in terms of reflecting the present, Labyrinthios and iFate were very on point, very on par. Affordability was iFate followed by Uni, and then Galaxy and Labyrinthios were kind of on the same wavelength in the sense that they're both quite expensive, in my opinion. And then the Rider-Waite Tarot was just a little bit less affordable than all the other options in terms of what you're getting, because I was taking into consideration value for money as well. With convenience, Labyrinthios won, again, just because of that journal feature. And then Uni, Galaxy and Rider were all sort of tied a little bit there in terms of like, they're all just kind of as convenient as each other. You pull it up, you get your reading, you know, that sort of thing. But then I did put iFate quite low just because it's a little bit faffy. It's not an app in your phone. You have to like go log in, go find the website, that sort of thing. And in terms of range, iFate and Labyrinthios had the most range, with Rider-Waite and Uni coming up close second, not close seconds, but coming up second to those, quite far back, because when it comes to range for all of these. And then next up, I do have Galaxy as a really close second for range, just because, yes, it's not offering you a range in the tarot cards, which is why it's marked down a point, but it's offering you range in things the other apps aren't offering, which is the associations, the encyclopedia that it has. And then Uni and Rider, just there wasn't that much range. There are like different decks you can pick, but in terms of what else is on offer, there's not these additional features that those other 3 apps did have. So for that reason, this is my overall score. So if I tally all of these up, Labyrinthios is technically the best app out of all of these apps, although they were all really great, by the way. Next up was iFate, and then in 3rd place was the Uni Tarot. In 4th place was Galaxy, and in 5th place was Rider. I just don't feel like that's accurate, because for me it would be like Lab, Galaxy, iFate, maybe Lab, iFate, Galaxy, Uni, Rider, or Rider, Uni. But this is what the results are based on, you know, what I found across the whole spectrum that we're kind of analysing here. So yeah, so that was the results of the tarot apps. Let me know if any of you guys actually use any of the apps, how you feel about them. I do know quite a few people who use the Labyrinthios one, and it's all like good interpretations that I get from everyone. I always hear like good verdicts of the Labyrinthios one. But yeah, let me know if you use any of the apps, or if I've inspired you to use any, or if you want me to kind of compare tarot apps with myself for a week. Although I know I win, so this is why I didn't really put too much source in that, you know, because I was like, I already know. Like, it's going to be more accurate when you do it yourself. That's the kind of takeaway. So for anyone who is looking to use an app, sure, great, go for it. Apps are fab. But at the end of the day, you're going to be better at giving yourself a tarot reading because you know what's going on in your life. So you'll be able to kind of connect it personally to yourself. But, you know, you can also do that with an app as well. You can kind of like start to piece it together with like your kind of experience and what you're going through. But all in all, they were all really good apps, and it's not that any of them are bad. like, if any of them came in last place, it's not that this is a bad app, it's that out of these top 5 amazing apps, it comes 5th place, but that doesn't mean it's not, like, amazing. Also, it's just my opinion. Like, you know, it's not that this is truth. It's just how I found it and how I interpreted it and how these apps were for me. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading or tarot related video from TìandTarot, aka me, aka Kat, and Kit O'Neill. Bye!